Have you ever wanted to just disappear? Not forever, just long enough to turn your phone off, pull the curtains and let the world roll on without you. No texts, no small talk, no, I'm fine. You're not tired in a normal way. You're done. Done wearing a face that feels like it belongs to someone else. And yet, the guilt hits. You worry people will call it laziness, avoidance, the end of momentum. But what if that urge to vanish is not a collapse at all? What if it's a message, urgent and intelligent, coming from the deepest part of you? According to Carl Jung, that tug to withdraw is often your psyche trying to save you. Let's start with the ordinary scene. You spend a week pretending you're okay. You do your job. You answer emails. You smile at the right moments. But under the smile, something tightens. You can feel it in your shoulders. Your mind keeps fogging over. Coffee helps for a while, then it doesn't. You show up anyway, and the showing up starts to feel like a performance you didn't audition for. That's the persona, Jung's word for the mask we wear to navigate society, the agreeable face that meets expectations and keeps us safe. The persona isn't bad. It lets you function. But the persona isn't the whole person. And when you live inside the mask too long, the rest of you, the parts that don't fit the performance, begin to bang on the door. Jung called that backlog the shadow, not evil, not a villain, just the truth you didn't have time to tell. The feelings you swallowed to keep the day moving, the anger, the tenderness, the curiosity, the hunger, everything you dismissed as inconvenient. The shadow is the unlived life trailing behind you. When your persona gets too tight, the shadow starts to leak through in odd ways. The sudden fantasy of disappearing, the urge to cancel plans, the secret wish to retreat to a quiet cave where no one can ask you to be anything. The desire to disappear is often shadow saying, "Enough, come back to me." So what do you do when it knocks? First, you don't fight the messenger. You listen, make a small ritual of removal. 10 minutes without the mask. A quiet room, a notebook. The words "I am not performing right now." Then ask 3 simple questions. What am I tired of pretending? What have I not said? Because I feared how it would land. And what do I ache for that I keep postponing? Write without editing. Your shadow prefers honesty to elegance. Now, retreat can be medicine or it can be sedation. Jung didn't equate silence with healing. He distinguished true introversion, a turn inward to renew, from collapse, which is a shutdown from overwhelm. How do you tell them apart? After genuine solitude, you feel a little more alive. Not euphoric, just honest, steady, restored. After collapse, you feel numb, brittle, more cut off. True solitude is a lamp lit in a cave. Collapse is the lamp blown out. If you're feeling that pull to disappear, you might be hearing a deeper call, what Jung called a descent. The ego wants the straight line, the productive day. But the psyche grows in seasons. There is a winter, and winter is not a mistake. Winter is where roots decide the shape of spring. When that season arrives, your everyday life can feel like wearing shoes 3 sizes too small. That pain is information. The self, the central organizer inside you, wiser than the ego, older than your plans, may be tugging you downward, inward, to a place where the old story can loosen its grip. The paradox is simple. If you ignore the call to the cave comes to you. It arrives as constant irritability, sudden tears, the fantasy of quitting everything. If you answer the call even in a small way, the pressure begins to release. Try this. Choose a deliberate day of retreat before your body chooses it for you. Don't call it failure, call it listening. Set a boundary that is loving and clear. I need a quiet day to reset. I'll respond tomorrow. Make an agreement with yourself and with one trusted person. This is a cocoon, not an escape. I am going in to come out different. Procrastination often tags along with the urge to disappear. You sit at the table. The task is simple. Your hands won't move. You stand to wash a dish and end up reorganizing a drawer. You scroll until the clock snaps and the shame arrives. Jung would say, "Don't confuse this moment with moral failure. You're in the grip of a complex, a tangle of memory, feeling, and belief that has its own energy. The complex can be like a trickster. It turns the doorknob when you reach for the handle. It hides your keys in plain sight. You're not weak, you're entangled. And entanglement needs conversation, not punishment. Try a trickster-proof ritual. Sit. Put the task in front of you. Close your eyes and imagine the part of you that doesn't want to do it. Give it a shape. A fox with clever eyes. A teenager with crossed arms. A storm cloud that hums. Ask it a sincere question. What are you protecting me from? Wait for a phrase, a sensation. Maybe you hear, "If we start, they'll judge us." Or, "I'm tired of making things for people who don't care." Then, set a tiny container. 15 minutes. A candle. Tell the trickster, we're not overthrowing an empire. We're testing a door. Light the candle, work gently for the 15, and stop when it's done. This is not productivity theater. This is reintroducing your nervous system to safe action. There's another reason you might want to vanish. The world we live in asks us to be watchable, constantly. Jung would call that a swollen persona, so big it blocks the view of your real face. When the persona turns into a costume you can't remove, your soul starts tugging at the seams. The desire to disappear becomes an act of self-respect. It's your refusal to be consumed, your refusal to be a brand. Retreat, then, is not weakness. It's boundary. It's a sacred no. Here's a practical line you can use the next time the social tide pulls you out farther than is safe. I'm at capacity, and I need a quiet evening to listen to myself. Thank you for understanding. That's not a vague excuse. It's a clear map. If someone cannot respect that, notice it. You learn just as much about your life from who honors your boundary as you do from your ability to set it. Sometimes your urge to disappear isn't because you are broken, it's because you are bright. Jung called it the golden shadow, the positive, radiant parts of you that you project onto others because owning them would change your life. You admire someone's courage and immediately thought says, "That could never be me." You see someone create boldly and think, "I'm not allowed." The golden shadow is the light you exiled, and the pressure of ignoring that light can be unbearable. You don't want to be seen because you fear you will have to become who you are. Try this small ritual. Make a list of 3 people you envy or admire. For each, write the quality that stings: their fearless voice, their patience, their presence. Then write, "This is me in exile." Choose one tiny act that expresses that quality today, privately. If you admire their voice, record a 1-minute voice note, just for you, telling the truth. If you admire their patience, let one thing take the time it needs without interference. If you admire their presence, eat a meal without a screen and feel the weight of the fork in your hand. No applause, no announcement. Just a signal to the self. I'm ready to reclaim what I projected. Dreams love to join this conversation when you're flirting with disappearance. They speak in images you might not have time to decode, but you don't have to become an analyst to listen. Notice if your dreams place you in basements, tunnels, caves, elevators going down, flooded rooms, crowded trains you step off at the last second. Descent, water, thresholds. These are the symbols of inward movement. The psyche is telling you where you are. You can respond with a pencil. Sketch one image from a dream, badly, and put it somewhere you will pass. Let the image work on you. Ask yourself each morning not, "What does this dream mean?" but, "What does this dream ask of me today?" Maybe it asks you to rest. Maybe it asks you to tell a truth. Maybe it asks you to stop pretending something doesn't hurt. When you notice you keep pushing people away, you might be running an old story. Complexes bind us to early patterns. If closeness once meant being controlled, your body might now resist closeness like it's a trap. If you were praised for being easy and agreeable, your anger may have fallen into the shadow, and now any boundary feels like a crime. This is not your fault, it's your inheritance. But inherited patterns can be rewritten. Start small. When you feel that reflex to say yes to keep the peace, pause. Place your hand on your chest, 3 slow breaths. Ask, what does my honest no sound like? Practice a sentence out loud in an empty room. Not tonight. That doesn't work for me. I need time to think before committing. You are not rejecting love. You are asking love to meet you rather than consume you. If you carry an inner orphan, the part that didn't get held, make an invitation. Write a letter you won't send to the person you needed then. Finish the letter with, I'm not abandoning you today. The urge to disappear is often that child tugging your sleeve, asking you to come home and sit on the floor for a while. The body keeps perfect minutes. When the psyche says retreat, your skeleton hears the bell. Fatigue arrives like weather. You can't think your way around it. Jung trusted the body's symbolism. A heavy head can mean overthinking. Sore shoulders carrying what isn't yours. A tight throat, words caught in customs. Sometimes this is medical. Always respect that. Always seek care when you need it. But often this is meaning wearing skin. If your body is insisting on winter, do not take pictures of summer to the windows and pretend. Create a day that moves like winter. Slow. Still. Simple. Remove 3 unneeded obligations. Choose one thing to do with full attention and let every other thing wait. When you feel panic at the waiting, place a hand on a chair, on the wall, on the sink, and name 5 quiet details you can sense. The coolness of the wood, the hum of the fridge, the weight of your feet, the small sound of your breath, the shape of light on the floor. This is how you tell your nervous system. We are not in danger for being off stage. Not all retreat is solitary. Sometimes you need a witness. One person who won't pry, won't fix, just holds a quiet corner with you. Jung knew the value of the temenos, the protected space where transformation happens. Therapy can be that. Friendship can be that. A weekly walk where the rule is we name one true thing can be that. The key is the container. You are not disappearing to vanish. You are withdrawing to remember. A good container helps you cross the bridge back. And remember the anima and animus, Jung's names for the inner contraries, the inner feminine in men, the inner masculine in women, the inner receptive, and the inner assertive in all of us. Imbalance can drive the urge to disappear. If your assertive side is overgrown, you might bulldoze yourself until you have to crash. If your receptive side is lost, you might stop listening to the small voice until it screams. Retreat is where these two sit together again. Ask, what part of me needs the microphone today? What part needs the quiet chair? Let them trade places without shame. Sometimes synchronicity shows up when you choose solitude. The right sentence finds you. A stranger's story mirrors yours. A random song says exactly what you needed. You don't have to chase signs. They often appear when you stop blasting noise at your life. Consider them winks, not orders. The psyche loves participation. It brings you images. You bring your willingness. There's also the part of you that fears being seen because you haven't decided what showing up would mean. You've tried so hard to earn permission from a chorus that hasn't even learned your name. This is where hiding becomes habit. Jung would nudge you gently. Your life does not need a committee's approval. Yourself has a direction. It's not always efficient. It's not always explainable. But it has a tone. Solitude tunes you to that tone. So when you re-enter the room, you carry your own rhythm, not the room's. If you're unsure what your rhythm sounds like, try this. At the end of your retreat day or hour, ask one question in 3 ways. If I didn't have to prove anything, what would I do next? If fear could sit beside me rather than drive, what would I try? If I treated my life as an experiment in paying attention, what would I notice today? Write down what comes. Choose the smallest answer and give it 15 minutes of your time. The smallest action in the right direction is not small to the psyche. It is a flare fired in the dark, and the self sees it. I want to pause here and ask you something real. When have you felt that urge to disappear? And what did it teach you when you finally listened? Share a few lines below. I read as many as I can. And if these Jungian deep dives help you breathe a little easier, tap like and subscribe so we can keep exploring the inner map together. Coming back from the cave is its own art. If you burst out, glittering with certainty, you might spook yourself. If you stay too long, you may forget a door exists. Re-entry is gradual. Let the world meet you in layers. Start with one person who can meet your unmasked face. Then one room where you speak from your chest instead of your script. Then one act, however tiny, that says I am continuing but differently. It might be sending a message you've withheld for months that begins with the words, "Here's the truth." It might be replacing a habit that kept you numb with one that keeps you awake. It might be moving a chair so that the light touches your desk in the morning. Yes, even that. The psyche speaks in arrangements. If you fear that everything will fall apart while you step back, test reality. Most of the time, the world is surprisingly indifferent to your performance, in a good way. The door will still be there tomorrow. The inbox will still be there. There will be fewer messages than your dread predicted. And the messages that matter will not punish you for resting. The ones that do, learn from them. Build a life where you are not punished for having a soul. Jung's word for the whole arc here is individuation. The process of becoming the one you are meant to be, not the copy you can imitate perfectly. Individuation isn't glamorous. It does not always look like a breakthrough. Often it looks like a person alone at a kitchen table breathing, writing one true sentence, not performing, not selling, just listening until the next step feels honest. There is a fierce tenderness to this. It's how you grow roots strong enough to hold you when the wind returns, and it will return. The world is loud, but once you've learned the shape of your cave, you don't fear the volume quite as much. You know that retreat is not a door you slam, but a room you can visit. You learn your signs. The headache that says mask too tight. The restless scrolling that says starving for meaning. The sudden envy that says golden shadow nearby. And instead of shaming yourself or pushing harder, you change your pace. You make a little ritual. You ask the right question. You pick up the pen. You touch the wall and count 5 quiet things. You remember, vanishing is sometimes the way into visibility. So here is a closing image. You step out from your room at dawn. The street isn't awake yet. There's a pocket of gray-blue light that makes everything look like a paused dream. You walk without explaining where you went. You don't owe the morning a report. You feel the air against your face. You feel the voice inside you returning at the exact pace of your breath. This is not the end of your story. This is the sentence where the narrator changes from someone else to you. You don't need to be everywhere to belong to your life. You need to be with yourself enough to know where you actually are. When the urge to disappear returns, and it will, treat it like an old friend who knows the back roads home. Say, I hear you, let's walk, not to vanish, to arrive.